Hey there! The name's Kelly, and I'll be your friendly neighborhood dispatcher for today. And every day unless we screw something up. Then the company replaces us, like dead batteries. But until then, I'll be here to help as much as I can. Not that you need much help with your first task. You need to head to the lookout point and take in the general layout of that town on the coast. You're bracing for one hell of a storm. I suggest you get on with the agenda before the storm hits. Enjoying the sights? I often hear they're the best part of your job. At least your job has a best part. I have to make do with cheap coffee and a broken AC. Ready for your next mission? Well, aren't you lucky? Investigate the phosphate plant. Not too exciting, but who am I to argue, right? Go take a look. Navigator. To be fair, a child could handle it if they could reach the gas pedal. Still, you did fine too, so kudos to you. Now it's time to get you to your forward base. It's not much to look at, but should keep you warm. Oh, and on your way there, be a darling and clear the plant's old entrance for the cavalry. They're coming later, if the higher-ups don't cut the funding. The good news is, you're in charge now. Bad news is, the storage and allocation of resources are all on you. So, use them wisely. And remember, a penny saved is a penny earned. For the company. Well, on to your next job. Storm's rolling in, and we need to build a flood wall before it does. Before it rolls in, I mean. Storms seldom build walls. First, we need to plot a route from the base to the phosphate plant. Once we do that, we can deliver the crane parts to make the wall. Looks like we're gonna need a generator for the phosphate plant. There should be one somewhere close to the abandoned facility. Check your map. If you can find it, bring it back to the garage inside the abandoned facility. wrapped up all the prep work nicely. I knew I could rely on you, which is especially great since I had nobody else to rely on. You're the only contractor in the sector. The fate of everything rests upon you. No pressure. Besides, the only thing left to do is to build the flood wall before the storm hits. First, you'll need to scoop up some concrete slabs. There should be plenty around your base. Naturally, you'll want to use the crane to move them. Then you need to drop them off in the loading area. Easy as pie, right? I could go for some pie. Anywho, the generator's in working order, so now you just need to make sure it's delivered. Shouldn't be too hard. Just plot a course from the workshop to the phosphate plant. Looks like you'll need to do some hauling. Take the cargo truck and load it up with the concrete slabs and steel beams. Then, deliver it to the phosphate plant. And if you're in the mood for extra supplies, you could plot a route between the warehouse and the forward base. It's not essential, but it'll make things easier for you in the long run. Actually, you need that more than I do. I'm safe back at HQ, but the folks in that town aren't. So, good luck. Jeez Louise, that was a close one. I was worried you weren't gonna pull it off. If you keep this up, I might start getting optimistic. At least for the company's stocks. They've been crashing lately, but you might have just turned the tide. Now, doesn't that make you feel good? Well, savor it for all it's worth. Talk to you later.